In an era where technology has infiltrated every sector of the media industry, artificial intelligence has emerged as a powerful tool and catalyst in the creative media production world. From journalism to sound design, AI is reshaping production, audience engagement, and how stories are told. AI is taking over the news cycle. Services such as ChatGPT can craft articles from scratch, quickly producing stories to increase news distribution. When AI is making editorial decisions, who is there to uphold standards?
My name's Jonathan. I'm a former newspaper, digital and BBC journalist and still continue to do a little bit of work in those areas. It has taken some of the heavy lifting out of journalism. Some of the sort of more drudgery work, I would guess, can be done by AI. However, there are organisations who are starting to generate whole stories with AI, images with AI and video with AI. The traditional big broadcasters are coming at it from a very cautious perspective. I don't think the industry as a whole really knows how it's going to be used. At the fringes, it's already replacing written work for people sometimes. So a bit too early to tell. I think fundamentally at its core is a technology like any other. So whether it's the flip from traditional photography with film to digital led to efficiencies, led to better speed. I think that's one of the main things that it's impacting on. It will impact it like all other forms of technology. It'll make things faster, it'll make things easier, but it will also perhaps threaten some of the more traditional roles within journalism. In terms of actually the consumption of journalism, I think it's already demonstrably having a very negative impact on trust in journalism. When you can't tell whether something is real or not, and you can't tell whether it's authentic or not, that adds to that general mistrust people have with journalism. The general mistrust that, is this accurate, is it fair, is it biased, etc. I would say journalism is one of the industries it's going to have a major impact on. And it's going to be in terms of jobs, it's going to be in terms of the quality of work, it's going to be in terms of the tasks and roles that people have. There will be new jobs appear, there will be AI journalist jobs advertised shortly. But it is also impacting that fundamental relationship between the audience and the journalist, which is one where you can at least be assured that a human being went out and spoke to someone, gathered facts, and put together a story. Now people are unsure if anything is real. And I think that's going to be an enormous challenge in journalism going forward. I think it will combat some aspects of fake news and misinformation, but I think it will mainly also be combating the fake news and misinformation generated by AI. So we'll end up the same place, if that makes sense. Easy fact checking. So you could use AI when you're interacting with a story to click a button and say, give me an AI summary of the facts of this, to see if that matches with the story itself or the information of the broadcast itself. So you'll be able to use AI to fact check as you go on. That being said, it would be so easy to generate misinformation and so easy for people to do it at enormous scale. It takes time for journalism, it takes time to research, it takes time to write, it takes time to interview. So for every one story that is accurate in the same amount of time, a clever person with very few morals could create 100,000 stories which are misinformation. So it's the scalability of AI that's terrifying, is that it still takes as much time for a human to fact check something, but you can get AI to generate 1 million pieces of content, all of which are misinformation in a flash. And I think it's that scalability that's going to be a real issue. I don't trust AI in terms of its accuracy. People use ChatGPT and it is very useful for some things and other pieces of AI software. But when you actually delve into what it generates, it's wrong nearly as often as it's right. So I think a lot of journalists are in that frame of mind. I don't think it's the journalists that you need to be thinking about when you're thinking about the impacts of AI in that regard. I think it's those that own journalism or own the businesses behind journalism, is that's where the impact will come. They will see an opportunity to reduce cost. And with that, you will end up with journalists being forced to use AI because of time pressures, people will lose their jobs. Some of it is simple. If you're told to write a story about the 10 most beautiful beaches in Cornwall, before you would have actually gone and researched that, written about it, found photographs, cobbled it into shape, had a sub look at it. Now you could get that and 4,000 stories identical to that for every area in the world, as in the space of time it takes you to make a cup of tea. In terms of my own personal experience, I have used it to structure stories. I have used it to give me narrative before, which is if you're writing something that is over the length that you're normally used to as a journalist, 3,000 word investigation, 1,500 word story, you can struggle to maintain a coherent narrative in your story to make it readable and understandable and for it to flow properly. The less I know about something and the less I am confident in something that I'm doing, the more I will lean towards AI giving me some help in that regard. That's dangerous in itself, because then I don't develop the skills to become knowledgeable on that area or to actually do that work to an effective level if I'm constantly relying on AI. AI will allow an incredible amount of efficiency in a newsroom, and any organization that pays the bills is going to think to itself, how do I save money? If I integrate AI into our workflows, I can get rid of people, reduce costs, and arguably make the journalism better by allowing journalists to focus on actually speaking to human beings, the human interest stories, the things that actually take time, because the rest of the job is super efficient and super fast. I just need to put a page of notes into AI, a rough idea of what the story is, and loads of quotes and say, make that story for me, and then go back and amend it. Those efficiencies will definitely see jobs lost, and we are already seeing that. The canary in the coal mine is the coding industry. Incredibly high-skilled jobs, historically speaking, amazingly well paid, straight out of university, £60,000 a year as a Java programmer. There are now fewer computer programmers being hired per year last year than there were in 1980. The numbers have collapsed because AI can simply write the code to a better standard than 90% of computer coders. I don't think journalism is the same as that, because there's more creative thought goes into it. It's it's the use of language, but once AI gets up to that standard, then I think we will see the same thing. We will see the number of actual journalists required drop quite dramatically as AI picks up an awful lot of the easier aspects of that job.
Of course, we have the rise in deepfake technology, a powerful yet dangerous tool with the ability to bring actors who have passed back to life. But how far should celebrity impersonation be taken?
Hi, my name is Christian Cody. I've been working in film industry for the last 25 years. I've worked in all different departments, from storyboard, special effects, makeup, and directing, producing, and writing. And I am currently involved heavily in the AI integration of the film business. And I work now and develop fully AI films, and working with AI films, mixing them with practical effects. AI can be used in all departments in filmmaking. I've seen it predominantly used mostly in, well, pre-production, for instance, developing concepts and storyboards. It's very handy. I mean, one of my jobs is storyboard artist, and initially people would come to me looking to try and pre-visualize their ideas. Whereas now, people who may not be good at drawing or may not have that artistic skill can now use AI to develop the storyboards for them. And it helps an awful lot. And when you're kind of trying to predict how your film's going to look, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost. Not to mention, as well as in post, AI has been very useful in developing, in cinematography and post and visual effects. It cuts down an awful lot of costs. I've used it myself for creating visual effects in films. It's been used in a lot of ways, even lately in the film The Brutalist. They use it for sound enhancing, for voice enhancing, for creating products. Films that have very low budgets and do not have the big budgets that Hollywood have, it's been helping them an awful lot in developing stuff. Going forward, it really depends how the tool is going to be used and how the technology is going to be enhanced. There is certain potential where it will definitely take away jobs, for sure. As I think there's quite a few visual effects companies closing down because of it. A job that would usually take 10 people now can take 2. I think the generally audiences will not be able to tell the difference unless it's pointed out to them. AI is so good now in developing content, and the way that is blended in working with practical effects and real life effects at the moment, it's visible. You can see it now. But even then, there's films like The Brutalist that just got Adrian Brody an Oscar. Unless pointed out to you, you wouldn't have known that was AI. The likes of The Irishman that was directed by Scorsese, AI was used in part of the de-aging process for that. So that was visibly seen, but nobody mentioned AI was being used in that, but it was used. So there's elements of AI has been used in filmmaking right now that nobody's noticing. Unless it's specifically an AI film, then you would see it. But I think in the future, as more and more filmmakers start to integrate AI into their workflow, it's going to become more and more difficult to see. I don't think as an audience, how they're going to feel. At the end of the day, it's the actors who bear the emotion of a film. They're the ones that bore rent it. They're the ones that pour out what's already there between the music and everything that's going on. Ethical considerations basically in regarding to what work are being used. I think certainly you need to be very careful, especially with imagery of other actors. I think the likes of deep fake and the likes of bringing actors back from the dead, I think that has to be considered on a certain level. It's very different if you're creating an idea of creating like a space or an alien or something that isn't really, is more of a fictional creature. But when you're doing something that's related to somebody in real life and you're using that to manipulate somebody else on screen, I think that is something that has to be taken, and it's something that has to be taken on board and looked at professionally and ethically. The likes of deepfake, I think at the moment it's mostly been used for voiceovers. I know it's been used worldwide I know the Brutalist itself used it to kind of change vowels or certain ideas when it was overlaying Adrian Brody's voice and speaking Hungarian. I know it's been used in lots of different films regarding that. Regarding de-aging, like deep fake, that has to be looked at as well. There was a video that came out there recently with different celebrities dancing against Kanye West, and that was very real looking. That fools an awful lot of people. That has to be looked at. But at the moment, because everything is so new and so emerging, the laws are not there yet to combat it. And so a lot of people are getting away with various things. Pornography was leading the way on that perspective, and still is to a certain extent as the technology is being used. Like I said, Scorsese, different characters, de-aging process, AI has been used in that process. It just depends on what element of the film is being used. But as far as I know, Hollywood is bringing in some new regulations stating that they must state whether AI has been used in the film or not. But how much is being used is the question. You may be using 5%, you may be using 3%. Will that affect your awards? And then how will that stain your film, or how that is an award film? Because you may know another guy may be using 15%, 50%. So that has to be qualified exactly how much is being used and what that effect will have on your film and its prospects in the future. But at the end of the day, I think the positives outweigh the negatives. It's not easy to make a film. It's not easy, and AI can't do that. It can certainly help along the lines, but it certainly will not replace a filmmaker. I don't think so anyway. We're not there. Not yet anyway.
In the world of filmmaking, scriptwriters and directors are collaborating with AI to create narratives and characters. But as machines begin to write stories, what does this mean for the future of storytelling?
Well, going back to my first time actually properly using AI when it comes to creating a story and with the script writing, I did ask it to come up with, say, a different ending or how they would do it. And they gave me the same ending that I kind of went for, like the same idea. They gave me a slightly different ending where someone else wins and how that would look. So I guess it's good at seeing different realities of how your story is gonna go. I know with a big rise in just AI being used for changing the language of a script, say, like maybe your dialogue is very wordy and you want to shorten that. Depending on how much the AI changes it, I think that might be okay. But that's really depending on how much changes it. If it could change certain words to just be more condensed, I think that's okay. But if it completely changes, that character's motivation, or let's say what they're saying has extreme significance and AI completely gets rid of that, then there's no point of using it at all, and it should just be whatever the writer chooses, really. I think the whole aspect of recreating art, like artificial human emotion sickens me. I think that that term just rubs me the wrong way. I think anything that a human can create, whether or not they're being influenced by other famous media or it's completely their own idea, I think all of that is human emotion. And when something else like a machine tries to recreate that, I don't think it will ever reach the same look. And when it comes to writing and script writing, even if you fed all of Tarantino's works, all of Orson Welles' works, and combine them all together to say, recreate, let's say Orson Welles and Tarantino came together to make a script, create something out of this, I think it would be the most boring thing ever. It would be the most generic style of script, story, just without the flavour that both those director-writers would actually make in real life if they partnered. So I think no, I don't think it can recreate properly.
What AI can do, I think AI can certainly boost your ideas of what you may think is whatever's there. It won't give you any, it won't write the thing for you, but it'll certainly give you ideas. So let's say you're stuck there. A lot of writers get writer's block, and you could ask them for some ideas regarding horror films and see what comes up with and put it down. But horror, there's more involved, especially when you go to direct the movie, jump cuts, shortcuts, how the atmosphere built up, the actors, the characters, the crest. The writings, I think, in a horror movie is it down to the originality of the story. It'll give you the idea, but it's up to you to guide that. ChatGPT and those things will not do that for you. They'll give you the structure, and they'll give you the words, and they'll describe certain scenes for you to give you the idea that it's, or they'll use words like eerie, creepy, but it's, you know, it's obviously just words. It's up to you to guide the story, to make sure the story is certain original and it's creepy enough. ChatGPT will just describe it for you. It won't give you the originality. And then it's just down to how you direct it. It's where it's there. I mean, I have used ChatGPT in relation to sort of coming up with ideas, but it stumbles when it comes to the likes of creating horror. So let's say you wanted to create something even darker. ChatGPT won't do it. If you wanted to massacre 1,000 nuns in a church, ChatGPT, now we're not having that. Whereas the likes of certain other programs like DeepSeek would go, yeah, no problem, we'll do that for you. So it just depends on on the originality of where your process is going to be. But each system like ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, all have different regulations of where they'll go and where they won't go regarding, and that can stop a flow. And as a writer, I think you need flow. You need to flow. So if you're writing a horror movie script, yeah, sure, use it to come up with some ideas, but it's not going to write the script for you. It'll certainly give you sections and go, okay, hey, listen, I'm stuck here. I don't know how to write. There's a haunted house in a pit of hell. You may ask ChatGPT to describe that better for you, and say, listen, I need this expanded to say what's going on. And then it may go, okay, well, it's a chat of hell, and it'll give you that expansion to it. But like I said, the actual original plot line that takes you from A to Z to make sure that the script is intact, it won't do that.
Audio effects and music composition have been revolutionized by AI. Sound design in the filmmaking industry, small budget projects and blockbuster films can benefit financially from AI and sound design. It serves as a cheaper alternative. But what is the impact on the industry?
I don't like the idea of it. Used in the sound industry as an accelerant is perfectly fine, like helping you find sound like peaking in a timeline or something like that there is perfectly fine, but I think using it in a way to recreate or make music from scratch takes away jobs from artists and creatives. I think it's definitely becoming more of a risk, and it's only going to get worse. A software like Suno, which is one that me and my friends have messed around with, is very, very, very good at making realistic-ish songs. You can put in previous songs and have it mix it in a different genre and stuff, and it's impressive. Like we hear it with on TikTok and stuff like that. There of joke videos of Boris Johnson and other like politicians playing Minecraft, and the voice is very, very convincing. So It could be something as simple as someone getting enough of my voice that where they can recreate it and make me say whatever. So it's very scary.
If you were going to hire somebody for 100 an hour where you get AI to do it for nothing and it sounds the same, what would you choose? AI can sync sound now a lot quicker. I mean, usually, let's say you're doing DaVinci or Premiere Pro, you bring in your sound and then you bring in the sound, it would sync everything up. But now AI can do that much, much quicker, and it can actually create visual, it can actually recommend sound effects and create the sound effects for you and then just drag and drop it. Yeah, and Premiere Pro and sort of editing software pros are bringing integrate that into their system just to speed up the system much faster. So it's getting to the point where you may find in the future that it would be very difficult for sound designers who start losing work. I mean, I've seen applications that are being developed at the moment, even by other companies that do it really, who will literally take in your entire footage, analyze it, take in the sound, sync everything up, and then look at this, and then create the actual visual sound effects that you need per system, and look at everything it's doing through. I mean, it was used in Emily Perez. It was used in her voice when she was singing, and they used AI to enhance her voice when she was singing. And so it's already been used. You know, and because it costs like a lot of money to bring an actor back in or have to train them and get them to a certain extent, where you could literally just put in AI, put their voice in it, and then get what you need, and it sounds, nobody can really tell the difference, you know, unless you say it. Just judging the way by how budgets are getting lower and lower, and it is a business. And the way budgets move forward, yeah, I think if you're always going to if there's no difference between one AI audition or this audition, there's no sound difference, you're always going to choose the cheaper option. I certainly would. You know, obviously there is that element to it where you've got the real voice coming in, and I think there's certain things that would be hard to take over on that, but voiceover work is going to be, I think it's going to be, that's going to disappear. It's going to disappear. I mean, even now as we speak, AI is copying everything. Scanned all voices. Every time you make a voice note, every time you do this, it copies everything else. Even if you sent me a voice note on WhatsApp, I could just take your voice and add an AI and replicate get you to tell me the dictionary in your voice, you know. Scan your body, scan your face, and then create an entire AI clone of you with your voice. And it would be tough to tell the difference. But yeah, I do think that's the way it's going to be going forward in the future.